Item number SCP-049. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-049 is contained within a standard and secure humanoid containment cell in Research Sector 02 at Site 19. SCP-049 must be sedated before any attempts to transport it. During transport, SCP-049 must be secured with a Class 3 humanoid restriction harness, including a locking collar and extension restraints, and monitored by no fewer than 2 armed guards. And while SCP-049 is generally cooperative with most Foundation personnel, outbursts or sudden changes in behavior are to be met with a levitated force. Under no circumstances should any personnel come into direct contact with SCP-049 during these outbursts. In the event SCP-049 becomes aggressive, the application of lavender has been shown to produce a calming effect on the entity. Once calmed, SCP-049 generally becomes compliant and will return to containment with little resistance. In order to facilitate the ongoing containment of SCP-049, the entity is to be provided with the corpse of a recently deceased animal once every 2 weeks for study. Corpses then become instances of SCP-049-2 are to be removed from SCP-049's containment cell and incinerated. SCP-049 is no longer permitted to interact with human subjects, and requests for human subjects are to be denied. Temporary Containment Procedure Update. Per Containment Committee Order 049.S19.17.1, SCP-049 is no longer permitted to interact directly with any members of Foundation staff, nor is it to be provided with any additional corpses to be used in its surgeries. This order shall be permanent indefinitely until such time a consensus regarding the ongoing containment of SCP-049 can be reached. Description: SCP-049 is a humanoid entity, roughly 1.9 meters in height, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While SCP-049 appears to be wearing the thick robes and the chimeric mask indicative of that profession, the Germans instead seem to have grown out of SCP-049's body over time, and are now indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-049 has a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. SCP-049 is capable of speech in a variety of language that tends to prefer English and medieval French. While SCP-049 is generally cordial and cooperative with Foundation staff, it can become especially irritated, or at times outright aggressive if it feels that it's in the it is in the presence of what it calls the pestilence. Although the exact nature of this pestilence is currently unknown to Foundation researchers, it does seem to be an issue of immense concern to SCP-049. SCP-049 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the pestilence, often having to be restrained should it encounter such. If left unchecked, SCP-049 will generally attempt to kill any such individual. SCP-049 is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism. I lost my place real quick. Functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is invariably been inclusive. SCP-049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicated that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to perform a crude surgery on the corpses using the implements contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its person at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of SCP-049-2. SCP-049-2 instances are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by SCP-049. These instances do not seem to retain any of their prior memories or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanisms. While these instances are generally inactive, moving very little, and in a generally absorptory fashion, they will become extremely aggressive if provoked or if directed to by SCP-049. SCP-049-2 instances express active biological functions, though these are vastly different from currently understood human psychology. Despite these alterations, SCP-049 often remarks that these subjects have been cured. Addendum 049-1 Discovery. SCP-049 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montaubola in southern France. During a raid on a local hold, investigators found several instances of SCP-049-2, as well as SCP-049. While law enforcement personnel engaged on hostile SCP-049-2 instances, SCP-049 was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in a journal. After all of these 049-2 instances were dispatched, SCP-049 willingly entered Foundation custody. The following interview was conducted by Dr. Raymond Ham during the initial investigation. SCP-049 in French. So, then, how should we begin? An introduction. Dr. Ham, aside, is that French? Can we get a translator? SCP-049 said in English. The King's English. No need for translation, sir. I can speak it well enough. Dr. Ham. Good. My name is Dr. Ronald Ham, and I... SCP-049. Ah, a doctor. A like-minded individual. No doubt. Wherein, if your specialty, sir... Dr. Ham. Cyberbiology. Why? SCP-049. A medical man, such as myself. Wonders abound. And here I I had been abducted by common street thugs. SCP-049 looks around the room. This place, then. This is your laboratory? I have wondered as clean as it is. And what's such little trace of the pestilence here? Dr. Ham. The pestilence? What do you mean? The scourge, the great dying. Come now. You know, the, SCP-049 taps temple fiercely. What is it? They call it. No matter. The pestilence. Yes. It abounds outside these walls, you know. So many have succumbed, and many more will continue to, until such time as a perfect cure can be developed. SCP-049 leans back in a chair. Fortunately, I am very close. It is my duty in life to rid the world of it. You see, the cure to end all cures. Dr. Ham says, when you say the great dying, are you talking about the bubonic plague? SCP-049 pauses. I don't know what that is, Dr. Ham. Dr. Ham. I see. Right. Well, the entities our agents encountered at the house, they were dead when you encountered them, yes? And you reanimated them? SCP-049 said, In a manner of speaking, you see things too simply, Doctor. Expand your horizons, life and death, sickness and health. These are amateur terms for amateur physicians. There is only one element that exists in the world of men. That is the pestilence, and nothing else. Make no mistake, they were very ill, all of them. Dr. Ham, you think you cured those people? SCP-049. Indeed, my cure is most effective. Dr. Ham said, the things we recovered were not human. SCP-049 pauses and glares at Dr. Ham. Yes, well, it is not a perfect cure, but they will come with time and further experimentation. Sorry, I don't know how to say that word. Oh my gosh. I have spent a lifetime developing my methods, Dr. Ham, and will spend a lifetime more if necessary. Now, we have wasted too much time. There is work to do. I will require a laboratory of my own, one where I can continue my researcher employed, and assistants, of course, though I can provide those of my own in time. SCP-049 laughs. Dr. Ham, I don't think our organization will be willing to. SCP-049, nonsense. We are all men of science. Fetch your coats and show me to my quarters, Doctor. Jester. SCP-049 gestures with a pointed stick. Our work begins now. End of log. Interviewer's note. While SCP-049 is capable of communicating in a very human way, there is a strange sense of unease that one experiences when it's in its presence. Make no mistake, there is something very uncanny about this entity indeed. Additionally, we've confiscated the pointed stick that SCP-049 keeps waving around. Part of this was due to standard confiscation protocols for the possessions of anomalies, and part because 049 really is a medicist, swinging it around like he does. The entity was displeased at first, but after we made some concessions, it's proving it with test subjects, which are admittedly more for the benefit of our own research. I warmed up to the idea. Okay. Addendum 049-2. Observation log. While in containment at Site 19, SCP-049 had spent a considerate amount of time studying and performing surgeries on the various mammalian corpses it has been provided. SCP-049 will routinely spend several days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of SCP-049-2, spending several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. SCP-049 will often seek to share its findings with members of Foundation staff. The following is a log of several occasions during which SCP-049 was observed operating on a mammalian corpse. Now, I honestly don't want to read this part because, oh my gosh, it's long. So I'm just gonna skip it. But in the description will be the link to the SCP as usual, and there you can read them. Because honestly, this is already long enough. Okay. The following up interview. Begin log. Dr. Ham. We've watched your work for several weeks now, and honestly, I'm not sure I understand what you're doing. Can you describe your process in detail? SCP-049. Oh, goodness, no. The process is most insensitive. As I said to your assistant, the best instruction you will find about my methods are here in my journals, as I have kept exclusive records on my work there. Dr. Ham, I see. My concern, Doctor, is that we still don't understand what you're seeking to cure, or how it manifests, or how turning these creatures in living, mindless drones helps in that effort. SCP-049, you do not understand the pestilence, even after all this time. Doctor, it is an unspeakable horror. One that has shown its true face many times before and will again. I find myself blessed with the wisdom and good sense needed to root it out and destroy it. But many like yourself cannot. It is a cruel judgment. I fear to be at the mercy of the disease you cannot fully comprehend. Dr. Ham, that still doesn't answer my question. How is your cure any kind of cure at all? SCP-049 growls because he's suddenly agitated. It is a cure. You may laugh at my effort if you please, but do not besmirch, I can't say that word, the good name of scientific progress that has developed this great mercy. What you so short-sightedly see here is a life better than any this creature could have hoped for. Stricken as it was with pestilence, this creature is now clean, unable to spread the pestilence, and free from the terror it would have experienced otherwise. Dr. Ham, this is hardly a creature at all. Doctor, this is not even SCP-049 gets very agitated. Do not joke with me, sir. You and your colleagues are like so many others, unable to look past minor setbacks to see the salvation taking place before your very eyes. Do you wait to remove rotten timbers until the hull collapses on top of you? No, you find them and pull them out and replace them with those untouched by rot. And most of all, you do not simply mock the structure because it now looks different. To you, it is strong. It is free of disease. Dr. Ham, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to agitate you. I'm just trying to understand. SCP-049. Yes. Well, do you mind your words in the future, Doctor? I am a professional, but even professionals may feel the bites of pride in dealing with criticism of their masterpiece. I will forgive this as an act of good faith between colleagues. Dr. Ham, is there anything else I can help you with? SCP-049 pauses and looks away from Dr. Ham. No. This will be all. Other test subjects on the usual schedule. You know my preference of subjects with more human anatomies. In log. Attending researchers' notes. SCP-049 does seem to generally want to help other humans, though it has not yet been able to provide a concrete example of what exactly it's trying to save us all from. I have watched it now over several weeks, and while the outcomes do not seem to ever change, SCP-049 continues to claim that it is growing closer to its perfect cure. I think the entity may be more aware of the reality of these outcomes than it would like us to think. Addendum 049-3 Incident took place on the 4th month, 4/16/2017. Starting shortly after SCP-049's additional containment, Dr. Ham conducted a number of interviews with the subject regarding its anomalous properties, and over time began to note its displeasure with its subjects and the 049-2 instances. This continued for a period of several months, during which SCP-049 never exhibited any aggressive behaviors. On April 16, 2017, as Dr. Ham was entering SCP-049's test chamber, hold up, I got lost for a second, but I'm thinking we're on this part. The entity began to grow anxious and started asking Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded SCP-049 that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to a lapse in security protocol, and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber emergency system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point SCP-049 had converted it into an instance of SCP-049-2. In the aftermath of the incident, SCP-049 was interviewed by Dr. Theron Sherman. Interviewer: Dr. Theron Sherman from Site-42. Interviewee: SCP-049. Begin log. Dr. Sherman: I need you to explain yourself. SCP-049 does not respond. Dr. Sherman: SCP-049, you are being directed to explain your actions, and I will remind you that failure to cooperate will result in further restrictions during your containment. SCP-049 pauses. My actions do not need to be explained. Dr. Sherman: you killed Raymond Ham and then butchered him until SCP-049 erupted angrily. Not dead. No, not dead. He is cured. Cured? Cured of what? Dr. Sherman says. The SCP-049 replies, the pestilence, sir. I had thought you I thought you, at least, would recognize what luck it was that I detected it before. Dr. Sherman interrupted him, saying, "What pestilence? You keep going on and on about this pestilence, but you have not once been able to properly identify the disease. What could you have possibly seen in him today that had not seen so many times before, that it would be worth his life?" SCP-049 responds. SCP-049 pauses. The pestilence present and progresses is foreseeable fashions, and has a clear way of creeping in the unprepared. And SCP-049's breathing becomes heavier. Call it what you want. Doctor, it was a mercy I did to him. He is cured. Dr. Sherman says, "He is a vegetable." SCP-049 pauses. I would not expect you to understand. You and your ilk have proven time and time again and to be not men of science, but men of emotion. You cannot appreciate the horrors I have seen. You cannot imprecate the horrors I have seen. Those many millions who had succumbed to the pestilence and had been changed. Who? Dr. Sherman cuts off 049. Your cure cost Ray his life. 049 says, "No, good sir. I have saved it. You would allow this world to slip back into the despair of the disease and the death, ignoring that I have created a miracle." And Dr. Sherman starts talking over SCP-049. "What disease? What pestilence? Pestilence. He was a healthy man. He was a good doctor." SCP-049 says, "Am offering it freely to the afflicted." When Dr. Sherman stops talking, SCP-049 is saying, "Am offering it freely to the afflicted." You are not worth this argument, sir. You are short-sighted and foolish. Dr. Ham was sick, and SCP-049's breath catches. I cured him. I am the only one who can do this. My work must continue there. If so, much still to learn, so much to Dr. Sherman. I've had enough of this. Consider your allowance revoked. Welcome to containment. 049. Dr. Sherman walks away from the mic. We're done here. SCP-049. SCP-049, after was saying, "Do, and others can be saved, even you, though you do not deserve it, might be saved. I can say save them all. I can cast down this plague once and for all. I can do this. Only me. SCP-049 starts having labored breathing. I saved him. Dr. Ham. I cured him. He was sick. I knew he was sick. I knew he wasn't. You are all sick. But I can save you. I can save you, all of you, because I am the cure. End log. Addendum 0494. Post-incident reports interview. The following interview is an excerpt from April 16, 2017, 049 incident report. The interview was conducted by Dr. Elijah Itzikin and took place 3 weeks after they started of the initial investigation. The date is the 5th month, 7th, the 7th day of it, 2017. Interviewer, Dr. Elijah Itzikin. Interviewee, SCP-049. Begin log. Dr. Itzikin, SCP-049. We are conducting this interview to close out our investigations on your act taken on April 16th that resulted in the death of a staff member. Do you have any comments to make? SCP-049 says, only that I look forward to the day when you will allow me to resume my work. I spent the last few weeks compiling my notes and constructing a new theory for how the pestilence was able to affect someone in such an insidious manner that I nearly couldn't detect it. Dr. Itzikin said, have you experienced any remorse for your actions for the death of Dr. Ham? SCP-049 waves his hand and says, yes. Well, the death of a colleague is always regrettable, but in the face of the pestilence, we must be swift, doctor, and act without hesitation. Dr. Itzikin says, Dr. Sherman noted in his report that you seem to be mournful during your initial interview. SCP-049 says, mourn, and then pauses and says, perhaps. I had not thought that. Not that. This that. It is labeled that fellow doctor became infected. But the work continues. Regrettable as it was. Dr. Ham's death provided important insight. Living human subjects are the only way to proceed forward. I am decided my cure it is of little use on dead flesh, and I have gleaned all I can for our generous supply of corpse. My desires turn towards tending to those still living who suffered from the disease. Dr. Itakin, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. SCP-049 laughs, and this is really weird since this is in red, which means it's a link. Oh, Doctor, I wouldn't be so sure. Which is weird. I don't know why it would say that, but in lock. But it's obviously a link to something, so we're probably going to check that out later, probably as a part 2. And this was a 30-minute recording? Oh my gosh! Wait, no, this isn't even a 30-minute... It's that long of a recording? Hold up. This isn't a 30-minute record... How did I record it for so long? Well, I guess I did have to split this in 2 different audios, so that would make sense. But still, that's very long. Wow. Longest video yet. Well, goodbye before this gets any longer.